Greetings. Guten Morgen. Guten Tag. Buenos dias. All the accoutrements. This is on the interstate with Britiany Wines. Headed to the Foot Specialist Edition. We're finally going to go and talk to somebody about this gnarly... Sorry, kids, for listening. We're almost here. Anyhow, going to the Foot Specialist today to do some adulting and talk about bunion surgery. I was wanting to try and get it done by the first of the year, but then I realized license plates are due, and if you're someone who pays for license plates on multiple vehicles, those back of the room, anybody? It gets pricey, and this little lovely Buick I drive around, her plates are still a little on the salty side, so, at least for me. So, we will discuss that. I am excited to at least get a plan. This is actually a procedure that's been put off for decades, something I've always kind of had, but it's gotten progressively worse. And since I saw the foot specialist here in town, Dr. Dwyer, he was really good. Stuff like this isn't necessarily his specialty, didn't work with those as much. We're going to figure out what the best course of action. I can walk and stuff, but anyhow, it's Friday. When it counts, you guys aren't here watching, whoever my one viewer is right now. Carol, good morning, darling. You didn't come here to talk about bunions. You come for inspiration. Maybe you did come to talk about bunions, and if you did, I'm sorry, we're moving on now. We'll talk about bunions later. Message me. But what I did want to talk about, I think we're going to revive, if you will, the discussions I would have about mental health. And I want to make sure to put this disclaimer out there. I am by no stretch of the imagination a therapist. I have been to college. I do have a bachelor's degree. It's in English. It means I can write well, read well, and talk well. Professionally speaking, I do have experiences. But if you need true... I'm here to be someone to talk to, but I do want to say this. If you find yourself needing an actual mental health professional, physician's advice, seek that. Okay, I'm just a regular lady who has happened to work in a field that has, up until this summer, provided me the right, I didn't want to say I still don't get the right tools, because I definitely get the right tools, but I've always been able to manage my mental health based upon my just personal connections, professional connections. And then as the professional I am, kind of in even that world of human services, if you will, I knew over the summer it was time to not only continue to utilize those tools I've always been able to utilize, where I work, who I know, things like that, as far as outreach. I knew it was time to bring in some new team players, and that's when I got myself a therapist, and I got back into the doctor. So, that's one thing I want to make sure to say out of the gate. Make sure to involve a professional when you need to involve a professional. Miss you too, Carol. I hope you're doing well, sweetheart. So, with me, guys, as I've talked about many times, I have been very pleased, with the exception of the weight gain. But granted, I lost 25 pounds. I don't want to say unhealthily, just I didn't have much of an appetite. There wasn't a lot of food consumption at that point, so not the healthiest. But now that I've been on medication, got all that serotonin, those feeling good hormones, feeling good, oh boy, I've been hitting the soda pretty hard. Gosh, there was a point I bet you I was drinking a pop a day. And I don't believe in drinking diet pop. If you're going to drink a soda, drink a soda. The crap that's in diet pop is even worse for your body than sugar. And if you can't have the sugar and you're a diabetic person, I still don't think you're supposed to drink diet pop. Again, I'm not a doctor, but that is at least something I have heard. But for me, the meds, they work. They definitely help. It's all this big... good for you, Carol. Glad to hear that. You going to be working in food service still, Carol? Respond when you get a chance, babe. Anyhow, what I was saying was, let me get out of the fast lane. Fast lane, baby. Who's that? Me and a caddy. No, I'll just roll over here. Nah, I don't want to be behind the tanker truck. That's not fun. So yeah, the medication is just a small, I can't say it's a small part, maybe it's a big part. For me, it seems to be a bit of a game changer. Oh, I don't want to do what I'm about to have to do. Cut off semi. Oh my god, I hate the interstate sometimes. Anyhow.
In 2 miles, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 129 for I-865
for me,
East
the
toward
medication
I-465
was
East.
game changer. It definitely, the dosage and all of that was right, but I am going to say this, what I was just saying a second ago, small portion of it, okay? Morning, Heather. Love you, girl. Need to be getting over and having a family dinner scenario. But it takes other things, even with dieting and weight loss. A lot of people think because someone found this pill or this something that, whoa, all of a sudden they dropped massive weight, got super fit. Those things do happen. That's an anomaly. But like with anything, it takes multiple pieces. So for me, I added on individual therapy as a component. And pretty aggressively. I meet once a week at this point. And for me, I looked at it and I have the opportunity, I know there are people, so this could be somebody sitting here watching this and it's like, Brittany, I don't have insurance, okay? I don't have a means to do these things. And I get that, and it sucks. Insurance is so unforgiving in the mental health world. I have family.
In half a mile, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 129 for I-865 East toward I-465 East.
Oh, goodness. Alright, I gotta get over y'all. But anyhow, I guess where was I at with that? What I was saying, for me, I was hitting it with everything. Oh, no. We were talking about lack of insurance. Sorry, got derailed. If that's the case, hit me up. I might be able to try and connect you up with some places,
Continue for
that
10
go on
miles.
sliding scales, and if not, oh God, I don't want to say to go to the internet, because going to the internet is what helped exacerbate and cause a resurgence of my OCD and my health anxiety. So that's a real slippery slope, y'all. But if you are, make sure you're Googling the right things. If you're somebody who is struggling and doesn't really have the resources or the means, you can feel free to reach out to me. I mean, I'd be happy to be an ear, but something that I try to remember, and gosh, and this is another tough thing, if you find somebody other than a professional person that is, and I'm speaking from being on both sides of this coin. Get over there, bud, Mr. Man. When you are working with someone, or no, I can't say working with, if you've got a friend or a family member that's your confidant that you go to about things, you've got to also remember, while they're there and they're being open and they're wanting to help you with all of your stuff, always remember they're human too. And this is true for therapists. I don't want to say that, oh, my therapist isn't human, because she very much is. But I'm speaking more to my friends in the back of the room who don't have those resources. Make sure you try not to dump. And by that, I mean, when you're in the throes of it and you've got your person that has said they're your person that you can go to, great, utilize that. But I'm talking about the day-to-day, all right? Because if you're not working with a professional, as in a therapist or you're a doctor or something, to get these tools and techniques in place, you got to kind of learn to do it on your own. And if you're going to someone and, telling them what's going on and asking for advice, number one, if it's something that sounds outlandish and off-kilter, that's really a tough thing too. People think they know, right? So it's going to be important that if you're not able to gain the means to an actual therapist or something, don't just go willy-nilly talking to Tom, Dick, and Harry down the road, because, you know, you don't see your mental health. It's all on the inside, and you know, it's not something to play with, okay? So make sure you're involved in the right people. But if you do have that person, circling back again, when you go to, and I'll just use this term, regurgitate what you're talking about to them, do it to them, not all over them. And I know sometimes that's really hard, you know. I've been on both sides, to where I'm just, you know, in the middle, whether it's in a crying episode, you know, because I'm just in a worrisome moment, or, you know, in years past, if you're blasting somebody with relationship issues, financial issues, things like that, you continually go to this person with all of these same issues over and over and over and over again, and never, ever, ever do anything really about it. You know what I mean? You're asking the same question, you're saying the same things, you're still happening, but you don't do anything about it, but you keep talking about it. You know, when that happens, you really have to learn to discipline yourself. You know, if someone's giving you solid advice, you know, like if you're feeling really anxious or whatever, I'll throw this out there. Hey, Brittany, you know, I've been going through and I'm feeling anxious. Hey, friend, let me send you my little chart I use about the 5 steps. I'm not calling it the right thing, but it's a technique where you go through your senses and, you know, things you taste, touch, smell, hear, and see. And it's a way to redirect your brain. I had to utilize it a few times over the course of the last couple weeks, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Actually, it works every time to go through that process, but it can be very short-lived. You know what I mean? You may be redirecting your thoughts only for a brief period, which is okay, because sometimes, and do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. You know, if you're having relationship issues and you're going to the same person, same sort of things going on, and I'm not talking about the DV stuff, you know, being domestic violence. I'm talking about, well, even if it is that, you know, even if you are somebody, and if you are, please do reach out, because I can get you connected up with some help. Don't be afraid. It's okay to be afraid, but if you find an opportunity to seek out that help and protection if you're in a relationship, and this is for my male friends too. I think I'm shifting gears a little bit from mental health. This is more talking about how to reach out and things like that, and all of the things I'm talking about are all in that mental health world. So talking to my friends, male or female, teens, whatever age, who have found themselves in a relationship that's not healthy. You know, maybe it's not physically abusive, but it's mental, emotional. Sometimes that stuff's even worse. And you're just not quite sure what to do. Hit me up. I've got some people you can talk to. And it's not just women that violence happens to, guys. Oftentimes, what I have seen, and this isn't in my professional world, okay? Right now, guys, I've got my personal hat on. Let's remember that. What I do, unless I am specifically doing something on behalf of any of my jobs, this is all personal. But in things, you know, research I've done and things I've seen, you know, there probably are circumstances where, for whatever reason, there's a man of a much smaller physical stature who maybe encounters a woman who's bigger and stronger. You know, it doesn't happen often, but it can happen. But what I have seen, and this is why I want to make sure any of my male friends are like, man, I'm in some stuff. I might need a little bit of help navigating this. You know, it's a matter of they're getting the crap kicked out of them because they don't retaliate. You know, I've seen things, whether it be on TikTok or whatever, where there's been some men that have shared their stories where we're talking strapping big, muscular, you know, weightlifting dudes who, excuse my French, are getting the shit knocked out of them by a small woman. You know, someone can see me and like, why is that happening? Well, you know, these gentlemen, you know, recognize the fact that their physical stature.
In 2 miles, use the right lane to take exit 31 toward East 106th Street.
Exit 31, okay, come on over, I'll let you in. so what I was saying was is they may not retaliate because they don't want to physically hurt them. And so it's like, well, they're hurting them. Talking about stigma there, baby. That's where you've got that little niche of men who have been abused, who physically, you should say, shouldn't have been, but because they don't retaliate, then that puts a whole other caveat on it. Now they've got a stigma of, oh my God, I'm this virile, masculine, muscular dude, and look at my face. There's one person I have followed who took a massive facial beating from their significant other, and it was a act of violence from a female to a male, and I mean, you're talking a major size difference. He didn't retaliate, and it was kind of sad to see some of the things that people were commenting, making fun. It's like, that's not cool, man. I couldn't imagine being, especially, anyone that's been beaten like that. I can't imagine, don't want to pretend to imagine what they feel, but being a man that's happened to and having to explain and ask questions, there's people that point fingers, and that's not cool. Let's not do that, because then we're circling back. That exacerbates that mental health problem that I was talking about, okay? Where if you're somebody who at that point, we're still talking about not having the resources, you know what I mean? That's where things can get complicated. So, summating that, if you're someone who struggles with having the things you need to be able to get mentally well, I can try and set you up with some information and try and help you figure it out. Again, I'm not a therapist. I am someone who's going through struggles herself, but I do have access to numbers and resources that could hopefully help. You know what I mean? And I'm all about partnering up with someone. And you know what? I am someone that can be dumped on. I put myself out there for that reason. And oftentimes, I'll get private hit-ups, what I'll call it. Someone hit me up with some heavy stuff going on that I help navigate. And that's okay. But remember, everybody, I am human. If you're somebody who sees a therapist or a clinician in the mental health world, they're human too. Like I couldn't believe when my therapist said people actually, when she's had to cancel due to illness, have sent, nasty emails and things like that. And I can't ever imagine behaving in that fashion, because a therapist is getting paid to be dumped upon, all right? That's their job. But knowing what it's like to go through that process of helping someone process. See, now it's too dark. Gosh dang it. All right. Sun's getting just bright enough where I need my shades. I think this is where I need to go. And of course, backed up traffic. I'm so glad I don't have to drive this side of town. Gosh, now I just lost train of thought. Daggone it. Where were we at with that? Driving. In general, guys, because I think I'm getting pretty close to my venue, what all I've been talking about. Good morning, Tabitha. My dear friend Tabby, I love you. I just want to tell you that this morning. Everybody who's on here and who's watched a little bit, I love you. Even if you're not watching, I love you too. Oh gosh, I wish Tabby liked to be on camera more, because she is wicked cool, guys. It was funny when Max and I, totally shifting gears for a second, did the second round of our get-together last night at
In
Walmart.
800 feet,
we both
use
had
the right
some
lane
stuff
to
to
take
get.
exit 31 toward East 106th Street.
Oh my gosh, my girl Allie is on. Love you. Love you, love you. Another awesome chick. But anyhow, my good friend Tab does not care for being on camera, so she was role-playing a crazy lady in a face skater last night.
Use the right lane to take exit 31,
Come on,
then keep right.
GPS lady, I'm telling a good story. Max and I went and hit the Christmas section, because now we are in Christmas mode, and YMCA mode, by the way. If you've not seen our little lives and stuff of being at the Y, my guy and I are going to make it a point to get to the Y more, to get well, stay well physically, mentally, emotionally. We want to be good.
Keep right.
Keeping right. Thank you, lady. But when we were in the Christmas section, it was so funny. Every time my camera would get near Tabby, up comes this gator
Continue
thing.
for 3/4 of a mile.
So I turned it into this big joke that, Max, I'm a little worried about this crazy lady who's near us in the gator, making it funny. But she's so cool, guys. Everybody that's on here is part of my circle of people that I love to be around the most. Anyone that I'm affiliated with, on Facebook because that's my major platform where I communicate. Love you guys. But what we've been talking about for those just coming on is I've done a revisit on mental, being more transparent, or not more transparent, staying transparent on my mental health. But the main focus was actually kind of talking
in a quarter
to those.
Mile, keep right.
Yep.
Follow signs for 106th Street.
Got it. That's where I thought I was going. But this is more for those folks, or the morning had been for those folks who don't have those resources, insurance and things like that. And let's be real, even if you have insurance, trying to gain resources for anything is tough, let alone the mental health. But for those of you who, I'm going to shift gears for a moment.
In a quarter mile, at the traffic circle, take the first exit onto East 106th Street.
Got it. If you do have the means and the resources, guys, and you're really feeling like you're to the point, I got to talk to somebody, you're not sure who to ask for, where to go, hit me up. I definitely can give you some phone numbers. And this is, I guess, kind of sort of putting my professional hat on. You can always reach out to my work and specifically speak to my boss, the president of Mental Health America, because he has a ton of resources. So I would definitely suggest doing that. Looks like I need to go to the right here. Okay.
Keep right, then slide right onto North Pennsylvania Street.
Got it. Okay. But anyhow, don't be afraid to reach out. And I'll tell you, I even have had a little bit of a stigma I felt, and I think I talked about this early on.
In a quarter mile, at the traffic circle, take the second exit onto Pennsylvania Parkway.
Got it. We'll keep going straight, and I'll probably have to wrap it up here pretty soon. You know, and we can all be very egocentric, you know what I mean, thinking of our own self and what we've got going on. But when I was really struggling with the anxiety and the crying and things like that over the summer, you know, and I was first reaching out for help, to hear the verbiage, you know, asking about, are you wanting to hurt yourself? You know, no, I didn't. You know, and if you do, gosh, call somebody, man. Don't stay in that. Don't stay in that. Okay, there's nothing worth those feelings at all. I promise you that. But for me, not anything in my realm.
Exit the traffic circle onto Pennsylvania Parkway, then turn right.
Hear that trying, you know, even though there was a means at that point to get me in or things like that, to hear that, well, that's not necessarily considered a crisis, that takes a back seat. It's a really hard thing to hear. I don't know if it's a hard thing to hear because, you know, I'm
turn right.
Hearing it about myself, or, you know, if it's because, I think this is where I need to go, surgery center. Okay, yep, got it. Or if it's really because
in 600 feet, your destination will be on the right.
There aren't the resources, right? Or there isn't a person to talk to. But don't take no for an answer, okay? You know, call somebody and say, hey, you know, I really, really need some help. Be adamant about it. And don't worry about that stigma. You know, the stigma is more of something I was putting on myself. Oh, well, gosh. You know, they don't think my stuff's serious, and that may not be the case, but I didn't take no for an answer, you know what I mean? And most of them, be professional, don't get nasty, you know what I mean? Just, you can be adamant, and the clinicians that I was talking to, I guess their administrative staff, were very, very sweet and said, hey, you're more than welcome to call back every day and try and find a cancellation. That's what I did. You know, I just call and say, hey, sorry to bother you guys, just seeing if anything opened, and it worked, all right? You know, if you first do get into therapy, and you're not sure about your therapist, give it a couple times, all right? You don't always know about a friend, and then sometimes make a lifelong friend after you meet him a second time. But just don't sit in it. Don't not get help. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. I got to sign off. I have so many more things I'd love to say. Maybe I'll come back on for a part 2 a little later, but I got to get into the specialists, see what they say about this gnarly bunion. That was the first part, so go back and rewatch if you want to hear about my bunion. Okay? Love you guys. See you later. Have a great Friday. Kick ass, take names. Peace.